Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another simulation, the Miami Hurricanes and the North Carolina Tar Heels. We're going to do a full game preview of this big game in the ACC late in the season. Two very good teams, two teams that are exciting to watch, and I'm very curious to see how the simulation goes. If you like these simulations, hit the like button and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this and plenty of content on the Miami Hurricanes and how they're doing with their season, as well as recruiting, which is heating up. So here we go. We're going to go full game, not the quick sneak peek one that you saw earlier. We've got a full game. Miami Hurricanes coming in 8-1, ranked 9th in the country, 10th in the college football playoff. You see D'Eriq King right here. A lot of news right now going on with Miami in terms of their top end players. And will they return in 2021? I will get to that as this game goes along. The things about North Carolina that makes them very interesting, very challenging as a 7-3 team is their offense. They're 5th in the country coming into the game in total offense, led by their quarterback, Sam Howell. We'll get to him when North Carolina gets the ball. But right now we're starting off with D'Eriq King and the Miami offense. Definitely drop in the comments. I always like seeing what you guys think about the team, where they're at right now. Let me know what you think of the team. And do you think guys will come back in 2021? And then looking at the offense, there's one guy I want to start off by talking about, and that's Mike Harley. You know, Mike's a guy that slow start to his senior year. Then he has those two monster games, and he's really doing well, and he's one of the top 15 receivers, or he's top 15 in the ACC in receiving, and that was not the case earlier in the season. Mike's a guy that continues to be a playmaker, and the one thing that stands out to me with Mike in terms of his work ethic and all the things he was doing to prepare for this season is he has repeatedly, not only has he gained confidence or had confidence, but he just keeps talking about his connection with D'Eriq King, and it only makes sense. So right on cue, D'Eriq finds Mike Harley for the first pass of the game, the first completion for Harley. But those two guys have a really good connection. I think that's going to be very interesting to see, maybe even moving forward, if they decide to return, if they decide to leave. So I think what's also going to be big in this game is for Mike to get going as well, because you definitely, if you're Miami, you definitely want to establish that run game, and you've seen flashes of that recently. You saw Cameron Harris have a big game against Duke. They're trying to get Jalen Knighton involved. They're trying to get Don Chaney Jr. I know Don's excited about the finish of the season as well, and he talked this week about that. So I think that's what Miami's going to try to do in this game. They're going to try to get that running game going like they've been doing all season. This is no surprise, and I think Miami's at its best when they are able to run the ball, even though so much attention is on the passing game. Other guys in the passing game, one guy, and I know he was out for a while, but Brevin Jordan was almost forgotten in the sense of how dynamic and how good he is when he is on the field. And you saw that last game against Duke, just making plays. You're able to move him around in the offense, line him up in different spots, and really take advantage of his skill set and the mismatches he presents a defense. And I think one thing that coaches were saying was they felt like him and Will Mallory essentially were healthy at the same time, or as healthy as they've been all season was that last game. So I think that's the big thing. You guys have heard these videos, anything I've ever done live streams, anytime I talk about the tight ends, the big thing is getting those guys going at the same time in the same game. And I think we're going to see that down the stretch. I think it can happen against North Carolina. Here's Brevin Jordan on a big play. I think that's exactly how Brevin plays, where he could get the catch and then also get upfield, make a guy miss. And you don't see that often with the tight end position. He has very good footwork and balance. I think those are two big strengths of Brevin's. And obviously when you get down here into the red zone, I think he's a guy that you definitely got to target and look for. And he's definitely done a much better job of that this season, of reaching the end zone compared to his first two seasons. So it's good to see Brevin continue to progress as a player. I think Miami's offense looks a lot different, a lot better when Brevin's on the field.
Now a first down carry for Harris.
Nice run by Cam up the middle. And that's not to take away from Will Mallory. And I know many of you are Will Mallory fans. And I've seen it sometimes on our message boards on InsideTheU.com. Definitely check that out. But some people are saying, is this team better with Will? And I think that just shows you, to me, I don't think that's even a knock at Brevin. I just think people really like Will. And Will is a good player as well. And I think that's a good thing. But definitely I like what Brevin brings to the team. But Mike Harley reaches the end zone, gets that first catch. Now he's in the end zone. Great to see. Goes right over the middle. Finds a soft spot in the North Carolina defense. And De'Eric finds him. Kind of just thinking, and I definitely want to get to De'Eric. We'll do that next possession. I want to talk more about De'Eric, maybe his future, my thoughts on that. And the season he's had. It's Miami's defense. Gets ready for its first possession. So one thing you guys might have noticed in that first possession is Navon Donaldson. I went ahead and started him in this game. He actually played more snaps at left guard than the other two guys. Then started Ja'Kai Clark, who was a little bit banged up, and then Usman Traore came in after Donaldson. And they were all, Donaldson had 26 snaps, Ja'Kai had 20, and Traore had 22. So they're all right around that in the last game. I know they want to bring Donaldson on a little, fairly slowly. And I asked Navon about that this week, just, what's your mindset essentially, because he's been a 3-year starter. Is it to just kind of fill a role, or are you looking to, gain a lead role type thing? And obviously, I was just curious to see what he would say, but, most guys, whatever the coaches want me to do, that kind of thing. So, but he did acknowledge, and he did say that he thought it was a good thing that they brought him along slowly. So we'll see. I think these games are going to be huge for Navon, not just maybe helping the team out, give him a boost, even if it is 20, 25 snaps. But I think this is can really ignite him for next year to have a really good season. And he is, obviously that is the talk. He's another guy that's a senior. He doesn't have to come back next year. But he talks about the future, and Rhett Lashley has talked about Garen Justice, the offensive line coach. They've all talked about Navon moving forward in 2021. So definitely look for Navon to do that. And that shouldn't be a surprise. So here we go. This is what makes North Carolina tough. It's Sam Howell. And the big thing that stands out to me about North Carolina's offense is, yes, he gets all the attention, and rightfully so, because he is a good quarterback, but their running game has two guys that are really good too, and so they also have that balance that Miami is looking to do as well. North Carolina's top 3 in the ACC in both rushing and passing. And not only was Sam being a good quarterback, he returned, this is his sophomore season, had a good freshman year, obviously, but what stands out to me about North Carolina, and this is something that you're just going to want to look for moving forward if you're a Miami program, for example, and you see it with the success, but North Carolina returned a bunch of guys from the previous year, and I think that's such a big thing in college football. And I know everybody wants the freshmen to do well early, make a splash and everything, but there's a huge difference when you start getting these veteran players, guys that have played a lot, guys that have found success, and they're able to build on that. Also build the chemistry with the quarterback and the whole thing. So I think that's one of the things that stood out to me coming into this season about North Carolina, was just how many key guys they had returning. And I think you saw right there with North Carolina's first catch of the game here with De'Ami Brown. He's a semifinalist for the Biletnikoff Award, one of the top receivers in the ACC, no doubt about it, averaging almost 100 yards a game. Definitely have to keep your eye on him. He's number 2. And then also with Jazz Newsome, number 5. And Jazz can also get loose in the return game as well. So, and definitely, you know what, guys, and I should have said this earlier, I want to get to a couple housekeeping items. You're looking at Miami Knights uniforms. They will wear the Miami Knights, but they're going to wear the 2.0s. And I've got them wearing, these are the original Miami Knights uniforms. So I'm definitely aware of that. So, but I've done a video with the new uniforms, and I'm going to drop a link in the comments if you guys want to check that out and see what it looks like in a game. I just didn't do it for this one. So there's that. And then also North Carolina, they are going to wear pretty much this uniform, but instead of the Tar Heel blue pants, they're going to go with the navy. So I just want to knock that out, and I'm definitely aware of that. I should have mentioned it right from the beginning because I know some of you might actually comment on that, but it's all good. It's still good to look at these Miami Knights uniforms. I like the all black. The look, just to mix it up. You saw Jalen Phillips there with a nice play. Jalen's a guy that made an announcement this week that he will finish out the regular the season, and then he'll make a decision on his future. I would expect him to leave. He's projected as a first-round pick on some early mock drafts. I think the talent is there. I think he's going to shine in front of NFL scouts. I think he's a guy that certainly Miami would love to have back next year. There's no doubt about that. I just, I guess my opinion on a lot of these guys, whether they're top draft picks or not, I just expect the seniors to leave. And I say that not just Miami, I think college football. Just to move on and maybe give it a shot at their next spot. Whether they are high draft picks or not, I would just assume the seniors are going to move on. And if they don't, I think that's a benefit from Miami for any college program that they are back. But certainly I would expect Jalen to be a guy that leaves. He's got a bright future ahead of him. And he's been great this year. He's been incredible, really. I mean, the tackles for loss have been some of the best in the nation, along with Quincy Roche. So he's definitely been really good. And the thing that really stands out about Jalen to me, and the physical attributes is all there and stuff, but man, he just plays really hard. He's relentless. You love that from a talented player. And in terms of his abilities, I really like that he can do different things, make different plays on the defensive line there. So obviously he can get to the quarterback and sack. He's very good against the run. I think he does a good job of the other things. You've seen him make an interception. He's around the ball in that sense. He can bat passes. He's just a versatile player at the defensive line spot. At UCLA, he stood up a little bit as an outside linebacker spot. If an NFL team sees that as an asset, maybe they want to use that as a strength for their defense, maybe because he can be a little versatile. I think that just adds to his whole package as a player. But certainly I think it's good that Jalen came out. I wish more players, in terms of their futures, would just say what they're planning on doing. And I think it was good that Jalen said, look, I'm going to play out the rest of the season. And then he said he'll make a decision after that. Quincy Roche was, once again, he said he'll make a decision after the season. He's a fourth-year senior. And again, just a reminder, the reason why we're talking about these seniors that have a shot at returning is because the NCAA allowed all seniors in fall sports across the country to have an extra year of eligibility. That's why the discussion is even there for seniors, and obviously third-year players are certainly eligible for the draft. And Jalen is a fourth-year junior, so it just kind of, once again, a little housekeeping on some of that. And just a reminder, maybe some of you didn't know if it got approved or you heard about it but didn't know. But yeah, that's why it's very interesting. The offseason is going to be very interesting for the Hurricanes here. But one thing about Quincy, he did accept an invitation to the Senior Bowl, and that certainly doesn't mean that he's definitely leaving. He could certainly change his mind. They have till mid-January to make a decision, but either way, he's been really good as well. So Miami's got a 7-3 lead here. And one of the things too, I wrote an article this week, you can check it out on the website, all the talk with Quincy and Jalen, but kind of looking at the next defensive end, like who, if they do leave, who's the next best defensive end on the current roster? And I think it's Jafari Harvey. And I asked defensive coordinator Blake Baker about him. I asked Quincy Roche, hey, what's your connection with Jafari? What kind of season has he had? What do you think of his future? Those kind of things. So there's an article on there. And he hasn't got a ton of snaps, but he's a guy that certainly has athletic ability, certainly has a bright future. I think when he steps in, I don't know if he'll be that level of guy. I mean, those are two of the best defensive ends in the country. But you're hoping Harvey is a productive player immediately next year. Essentially thinking you're going to lose one or both of those defensive ends. So here we go. Shout out to everybody that's jumping on here, watching this, checking out full game simulation here. I've done other one. If this is your first one seeing it, I've done other ones. You can search for them. You can look at the playlist and whatnot, different games. during the season. Try to match up the depth charts as accurate as possible going into the week. I'm talking about D'Eriq King, and he's the biggest name to watch for in the offseason. What will he do? He's a fifth-year senior. Played 4 years at Houston, 1 year at Miami, and he's talked about. He said he wouldn't mind coming. He thinks he's basically, when he talks about his potential decision, he speaks highly on both ends. That's the way I take it. He could come back. He thinks Miami's a great university. Certainly hasn't been able to experience the city and the environment as much as he would in a normal situation without a pandemic, and he recognizes that. And then, he acknowledges that he's always had the dream of the NFL. So it's a huge difference what D'Eriq does in terms of this team's future. He's such an impact player, and you can see it both ways. You can see him come back, maybe contend for the ACC title. Maybe he can get other guys to stay as well and have another run at it. Another year in Rhett Lashley's offense, the whole thing. Maybe improve his ability as a quarterback, playing in this conference once again. So you could see that side of it. Or you could just see it like this is a guy that's, this is his 5th year of college. He's just looking to move on and whatever the future may hold. Whether it's his future at quarterback. I know there's been discussion about him at other positions, and that will always come up with D'Eriq because he was so effective as a receiver early in his career at Houston. He has showed that ability. That's why you're going to hear that. I know before the season started, the Senior Bowl actually, kind of made the announcement that he can play. They'll have him do whatever position, that kind of thing. So, and once again, these decisions don't always have to be, am I going to be a first rounder? I think a lot of people assume that's what draft decisions have to do with. Sometimes these guys have their degrees. They're just ready to move on with the next step in their careers, even if they're not going to be a high-end draft pick. It's just time to move on with their careers and their lives and see what happens. It's not always about, staying in school as long as possible. And hopefully everybody can respect the decisions that these guys make. I've often equated the decision by the NCAA to allow the 6th year, the extra year, sometimes 6th year for a senior. And kind of looking at it with college basketball, I think a lot of, the high-end college basketball prospects that are assumed to be one-and-done players going into college, I think even regardless of the season, sometimes it's hard to switch that mentality off and come back for a 2nd year. Sometimes they think I'm a one and done, and they essentially go regardless of the season they have. And I think that could be somewhat true in college football with, look, this is my senior year, my 5th year, 4th year. I'm a senior, I'm going to move on. And then all of a sudden you get the news that you can come back. I think some of the players across the country, you will see like they're just going to go ahead and move forward with their careers because mentally that's what they had already planned to do. And that's just my assumption. That's my guess. Certainly be something to watch for. And I know we're talking a lot about the future, but right now, Miami's got a huge game against North Carolina. I asked Manny Diaz about this game, about looking forward to this. They lost the matchup last year, 2nd game of the year, 28-25, and he said they've been looking forward to this one. And I was glad he said it because I felt like it was true. I felt like both of these programs were very similar going into the season of where they were in the ACC, what kind of teams they had. Even though Miami was coming off that 6-7 season, I felt like Miami would be towards the top. And to be honest with you, I've been looking forward to this game the most all season. I know the Clemson game was interesting. It was good to see that elite team on the field, and maybe Miami could pull off the upset, that kind of thing. But I feel like this one is the one to watch for. This is the measuring stick game. This is a similar team, similar abilities. Oh my goodness, blocked field goal. It's Kadri Jackson with the fumble recovery. Not sure what happened there. You definitely don't like to see that because Jose, anytime he's got a shot,
Almost like they're a group of superheroes, right?
And making a field goal, you got to like your chances. So I'm seeing here. So yeah, this 28 Marcus Clark hasn't seen very much action this year. He saw 29 Isaiah Dunson, 2 cornerbacks to watch for in this game. Because if you have heard, Al Blades Jr. is out with a health issue the rest of the season. Corey Couch had started the last game. Blades played in. So Couch is staying in that starting role. Ivy's still there, obviously. And now you've got Marcus Clark and Isaiah Dunson, 2 true freshmen who have seen a little bit of action lately, but now they kind of move up into that number 3, number 4 cornerback spot. They're going to be huge. They're going to be huge in this game because they're going to have to face a passing offense that's very good. And essentially this is their final exam, if you look at it like that. With, you know, they worked all semester, all season long to be ready for this moment, and this is it. They've got roles in this game. I think you'll see them out there. They'll need to make plays. They'll need to be very good against this receiving core. Jalen Phillips is having a monster game. That would be great to see. And I know Jalen, once again, just his mindset. He's playing out the regular season, but don't think he's checking out. This guy wants to finish strong, play really well in every game. He has an opportunity to do so. I don't think it will be a quiet few games here for Jalen. We're here into the second quarter. Once again, comment on the game, what you think will happen, some keys to the game maybe you're looking to see with this one.
Nice completion there. Keeps the sticks moving.
Once again, looking at Isaiah Dunson, number 29. One thing they said about Isaiah is very competitive. He's got good length. I think he can still add on some strength. But they really like his competitiveness. And that's one thing that stands out to the coaching staff about Isaiah. And the thing that stands out to them about Marcus Clark is his ball skills. He's a guy that played a little receiver in high school. And he just has a knack for either batting the ball down or coming down with it when the ball's in the air. Does a good job of that. So those are the strengths of each cornerback there right now early in their careers. Going over the middle. Another thing that I did with this one as well is I went ahead and started, I got Jared Harrison Hunt there at defensive tackle with the start, 81. Definitely like his future moving forward. I know many of you are excited about him as well. But also, I went ahead and left Wayman Steed in there, number 17. He started his first game of his career against Duke with Zach McLeod out, and I went ahead and gave Steed the edge here. And we'll wait to see if McLeod is back, but Steed was a guy that I remember watching in high school at Miami Central. Really good speed, really good burst to the outside, strong tackler. Obviously, he's gotten to Miami and dealt with some injuries and really battled his way back to being on the field. I think it's great to see and great to see him have success, so hopefully he can continue to have success the rest of the season there. I was looking right there on that play, guys, at Bubba Bolden, number 21, and he's had a very interesting season. He's played the most snaps of anybody on the defense. The first half of the year, he was incredible. Thought he was very good, making plays. You guys saw in the open field. And then, for whatever reason, and this is definitely a question, a topic I want to talk to Blake Baker about next time we have an opportunity. Just kind of essentially what happened in the second half. What has Bubba been dealing with? Because you've not seen that production like you did in the first half. But I still think he's a very good player. I think he's a guy that at any time, at any game, he steps foot on the field, he could be an impact player. And by no means am I writing him off the rest of the season, because once again, I think he can have an impact in any game he plays in. It's just been interesting to see him not continue that success that we saw earlier in the year. And it happens. Like I said, he's a guy that could certainly finish strong. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for making plays on the ball in this one. So definitely keep your eye on Bubba. And definitely don't want to sleep on him. He's a very good player.
Now this time he'll look to throw. That is incomplete.
When I watched that play, I thought about what my coaches had told me.
So Derek in the passing game, talked about Brevin Jordan, talked about Mike Harley.
So you can make a play on it while it's in the air.
You know, you're looking at
What he did there, that was nice.
other receivers in D. Wiggins and Mark Pope. One of the things I wrote about this week, which I found very interesting, I knew there was balance. I knew you always hear, certain guys are stepping up in different games. But through Miami's first 9 games this year, they've had 6 different players lead them in receiving yards in a game. And I found that number to be pretty crazy if you think about it. So those 6 are going to be the name. 5 of them are going to be the names that you expect. 1 will be one you didn't expect. So it's the 2 tight ends, Brevin Jordan, Will Mallory. The 3 receivers, Mike Harley, D. Wiggins, Mark Pope. So those are your 5, right? But who's the 6th? It was Keyshawn Smith against Clemson with the 42-yard catch, and he led the team in receiving yards actually that game. So kind of not a trick question, a trick answer, but certainly worth noting. But the point is, they've had different guys step up in the receiving game and the targets. And I know Derek talked about at the beginning of the year that he just likes to go to the open guy. And Rhett Lashley spoke about it this week about he likes that balance. That he thought that this year in particular it's important because you don't know who's going to be out there each and every week. So he thought that the balance was good. And those guys have been available. The receivers have been available each week. We talked about Brevin, and Will's been banged up, but he has played. But point being, you don't rely on one guy to be your go-to guy. I mean, he felt like that was a benefit for this season. So certainly you're always looking for that go-to guy, but the point being is you can still find success even if you don't have that. And this is what they expected going into the year. The wide receivers coach Rob Likens talked about it. He expected a balanced group. I think when you look at their abilities, if you look at them, it's hard to pick one guy out of the receivers to say this guy is the best one. And he's definitely going to lead them every week. So I don't think you're surprised when you hear that note about the balance. Here we go. We've got 3 minutes before halftime. Miami holding on to a 7-3 lead. I don't expect a 7-3 game in the second quarter like this. I expect both teams to be able to score. I think Miami's offense, you saw it last game. I think once again you see Brevin Jordan on the field, they have a chance to really do some good things. I think with Derek King, obviously I just think that the offense has potential to score quite a bit. Nice sack by Jared Harrison Hunt. And he's got the great Selly, so good to see out of number 81, redshirt freshman, bright future ahead of him. And I do expect North Carolina to be able to score. I mentioned the cornerback situation at Miami, but I don't think it would have mattered in the sense that I do think North Carolina will find success in the passing game. I know Miami is well aware of what they can do. They played against them last year. Sam Howell in that second game. And interesting enough, Quincy Roche, the guy that played at Temple last year, but actually played against Temple in the bowl game. So he's well aware of their passing game, and Sam Howell as well. I just think Sam in the passing game is going to be able to pass the ball, and it'll be up to Miami. I think the things you're looking for is looking for turnovers. You're looking for those sacks from the defensive ends. You guys have watched football a long time. You know the impact of a negative play on a drive and how hard it is to overcome for an offense, the percentages of overcoming a sack on a drive to get a first down. It definitely decreases quite a bit. So might look for Miami to try to get those big plays. And also, when they get down to the red zone. Miami for years has tried that bend but don't break attitude, tighten it up inside the red zone. So when North Carolina does move the ball, and if it does look, even if it looks seamless, like moving the ball down the field, when it gets down there, Miami's definitely got to lock up, hold them to field goals. I think that'll be a key in this game. I think that's the way to the defense their focus should be in terms of, as opposed to maybe saving it with interceptions and fumbles. I think the big thing will be try to hold him to field goals. Nice catch by D. Wiggins. And I think what you're hoping with the receivers, talking about them earlier, you're just hoping that they continue to progress. Avoid the drops, make plays when you can. I definitely think you'd like to see all three of them be able to utilize their speed. All three of them have good speed. Head strength and condition coach David Feely talked to us a couple weeks ago, and I asked him who were the fastest players on the team. The guys he said were Jalen Knight, not a surprise, and he said D. Wiggins. And I felt like some people were a little surprised about D, but if you've heard me talk or write, I've talked a lot about D's speed. Coach Feely also mentioned Mark Pope with the speed as well. But I think with D. Wiggins, maybe because he's a little bit taller and he has more of that straight end speed, maybe it did surprise some people. But I would definitely like to see D try to get the ball, going deep a little bit down the stretch of games. And just a reminder, as it stands, Miami hosts North Carolina, then they host Georgia Tech for the regular season finale, and then a bowl game. I think there has been some confusion about how many games Miami would play, but that's how it stands right now. Certainly everything can change.
From the gun, King. Quick hitter here, it's complete. And he works it past the 30, almost to the 25. The Cowboys going to use their second timeout now.
So we got Miami driving. This is great to see. So the ball is on the 26. A minute left. First down. Almost halftime.
Looking to throw. King. And that going to be incomplete.
Man, that was a tough throw.
Second down.
Now he's been a busy man out of the backfield. They've looked his way quite
That's a tough throw, and the thing about De'Aric's season, I think he's made such an impact, and you've heard everybody talk about him, and certainly the on the field production, the improvements in the passing game, his ability to run, helping the running game. I think he helps the running backs because he has a threat to run on read plays. And I think maybe even the biggest thing is just, and they said this coming in about his leadership, and that has not disappointed all throughout the season. I think the personality of the offense is led by De'Aric. I think his professional approach to the game has been very helpful for the team. I think even if he does leave the 1 year that he's been at Miami, I think he's made a huge impact, and you're going to look to grow on that. Oh, that's tough right there. 3rd and 1. You definitely want to get that first down. A 14-3 going into halftime would certainly be nice to see, but North Carolina defense holds up. Chaz Surratt, that's their top player, linebacker 21. Their secondary, I do think that Miami can find ways to pick up yards in the passing game. North Carolina is the middle of the pack pass defense team in the ACC. So here's Borregales. Okay, that's good to see. That one was not blocked. He makes this one. He's only missed 2 field goals on the season. One of the best kickers in the country. He's had another great impact. And this is what you expect. And I think that's been great with what this team has been this season is these guys that have come in, guys you expected to make impacts, have delivered. There hasn't been a disappointing player. There hasn't been a guy that hasn't lived up to it. And I think that's been great, whether it's all these guys, Jalen Phillips, Roche, mentioned Borregales, even Bolden stepping into this lead role. Obviously with King. These guys stepping in. Jared Williams at right tackle has been very good as well. And I think that's been great to see. All of these guys make impacts, and many of them being transfers. And, Manny Diaz has said that he's looking to, if there are needs, he'll look at the roster, assess how it looks, and they'll go after guys. And I think while it's not maybe the way it used to be in terms of building a program with high school prospects, building them up, getting high-level guys. Look, if Miami's going to be a destination for transfers, high-level transfers, you can't put that aside and say you don't want that. If that's the program you're going to be, if that's where you find success, I think you take it. So North Carolina's coming out firing here. So North Carolina is trying to push the ball. Maybe they get a field goal here. It's a ball at the 50 right here. So they got one timeout left, 12 seconds. Maybe you're looking at one play out of bounds. Definitely going for it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. DJ Ivey with the interception and the pick six. Look at that. DJ Ivey. Wow. Big play. You would love to see this because with Al Blades Jr. down, you know that DJ Ivey is going to need to have a big game. This would be a great sign on that pick six in this simulation. Huge shout out to DJ Ivey for returning it all the way. Miami's now going to go into the halftime with a nice commanding lead.
In that tip drill, what do you yell?
For us, it was Oski. Okay, Oski was an interception.
Nice play. That's a way to finish it off, and that's the risk you take if you're trying to go for points right at the end of the half. The momentum, you got to like to see that from Miami. Quick look at the stadium. Certainly a packed crowd. And Manny Diaz said that when I asked him about this game. He said this feels like it would be a big-time Miami event game, a packed crowd, if they could have all of the fans in the stands. You could definitely see why. There's a lot of hype. You know, North Carolina's coming in ranked number 20th in the country. They're 17 in the college football playoffs, so certainly understand why. So here we go, 17-3, 2 seconds left, just before halftime. There's Wayman Steed. Everybody's congratulating DJ Ivey. Sitting there with De'Aaron King, great to see. Got Sam Howell, number 7, looking to shake it off. Tough play there. Could be a momentum play, that turnover chain. You didn't get to see it there on the sideline. But you know, if I could put it in the game, I definitely would like to do that. But and definitely have enjoyed doing these, guys. This is something that's been new this year in 2020, doing these simulations. Try to get them as realistic as possible. It's a way to talk about the game, not just watch it, but also maybe talk about some different things, preview the game. Sometimes we've done some live streams and watched this thing together. And I always enjoy chatting with you guys. And we definitely would need to do some live streams coming up here. This is a big month. There's going to be a lot going on with the team. I mentioned a lot of the guys that could declare and leave early. You got recruiting and signing days coming up. Plenty of information, plenty of things to talk about. Obviously, the uncertainty of games. Are they playing? Are they not? Are they going to, the bowl games? All kinds of stuff going on this month. And I think it's a great time. If you guys haven't yet, subscribe with the VIP subscription to the InsideTheU.com to make sure you get all the information and the latest scoop on the team. Always looking to take advantage of deals and things like that during the holiday season. However, subscribing to this channel is free. It takes nothing. All you got to do is hit the subscribe button. If there's any North Carolina fans out there, shout out to you. And you guys can hit the subscribe button as well as we take a look at different things with different programs and the games here. Maybe this is a good opportunity. I definitely have been thinking a lot about that NCAA football series, the NCAA football 14, the dynasty series that I have going. I put it on pause for the regular season, but I'm definitely thinking more about that as we get into the off season, firing that thing back up.
Both teams appear ready for the fight ahead, and we resume action.
We had a great season in our first year doing that, but I'm definitely in the off season, but I've definitely been thinking about doing that. And even some of you guys have been fans of the MVP baseball series.
about the 23-yard line.
that has also been on pause, and I've been thinking about, kind of kicking that back up the season around the corner.
To take over on offense. They have the ball here for the
If you guys have any comments on that or any of these other series or games in the ITU game series, definitely let me know in the comments what you think, what you'd like to see. If there's something you missed, maybe there was a series that you liked that I got away from and you want to see that again, definitely do that. So here we go, second half. Let's talk about Miami's defense, maybe some other guys to watch for. I think Nesta Jade Silvera, a defensive tackle, is going to be a guy that's going to be very intriguing to me in terms of moving forward. I think a lot of you expect him to be back. He's a third-year junior. He's a guy that's had a really good season, but does he project as a high draft pick? Those kind of things. However, the one thing I would say, though, too, one thing to maybe keep in mind is Nesta has a very good relationship with Greg Rousseau. They worked out together in the offseason. Greg obviously opted out of this season, prepare for the draft, projected as a first-rounder. And you wonder if Nesta wants to follow the same track, not necessarily to be a first-rounder, but just that the professional track. So that's just something to watch for, even though maybe you look at Nesta Jade as maybe not having the huge impact year that you would just assume a junior would leave early for. And also, I think when you think about his future, you look back at maybe some other players in recent history at Miami that have left early as juniors, even though they weren't going to be high picks or picked at all. So I know many of you might be thinking about, okay, is Silvera going to be that next guy? And I definitely think it's a possibility, and I think it's a thing to watch for. I think he's one of the guys to really look for late in the season. And it will be an interesting offseason. And obviously we are looking at this through the lens of the Miami Hurricanes, but I think it's going to be college football. You saw one thing you didn't see a lot of with Miami, and you had a few, but there were other programs that had players opting out either before the season and also during the season. There was a lot of uncertainty with players, and I felt like when we talk about maybe if guys are leaving and whatnot, what they're going to do with their futures, I think this is just what's going on around college football, even though you've not seen it with Miami as much during the season. I just think with Miami, with so many upperclassmen, so many guys with decisions to make, I think it'll be interesting to see how it will go. And certainly, if there's news, we'll certainly respond to it immediately and how it impacts the team. And as always, we're always talking about one thing we do with the site. If you guys haven't been on the site, checked it out, or maybe you have it just a little bit, but one of the things we like to do is really talk about players to watch for in the future. Make sure we're always on every storyline, maybe guys who move up on a depth chart, guys to watch for as recruits, and things of that nature. And I think that's something that will happen. Like I said with Javari Harvey, I talked about him this week because I think he's a guy that already you're looking at like, okay, what kind of season what do these guys think about Harvey this year? Even though as we're watching games, we don't see him a ton. He's averaging about 20 snaps a game. But Baker was complimentary on his development. I thought that was good to see. But there's certainly other guys. You mentioned the cornerbacks. I think linebacker is going to be the big position to watch for in the offseason. You see Bradley Jennings there. I think people are still waiting on Avery Huff. They still want to see Sam Brooks. Brooks was dealing with a little bit of injury, things like that. You've seen Corey Flagg make plays as a freshman. I talked about Steed. Maybe he's got the injuries behind him and he's looking to push for larger roles. McLeod as a senior, where does he fit in? I thought going into this year he was automatically the starter, but now I think you see Flagg make plays. You see these other guys making plays and you're like, well, can they just step in? So I think McLeod isn't the automatic guy the way he was this year, just because the way other guys have played. And coming into the year, they did not have that experience. Jalen Phillips has been a monster this game. I can't believe how many big-time plays he's making. He flattens Carter right there, number 8. Other running backs, 25. But Jalen just continues to make plays. Like I said, he does it in the run game and does well rushing the passer. So North Carolina was on the move, but Miami's holding them to field goals. I think this is a big thing. I know it's only a simulation, but this is what you like to see for Miami for sure.
Field goal here gets them back within 11 now. It's 17-6. So a good drive there to begin quarter number 3, but they're only able to shave 3 points.
So linebacker on defense will be a position to watch for in the offseason as you're looking forward to, and also finishing strong this year into the offseason. How will the roles go? The competition at the position will be big. And I think it's particularly big because the way Miami sets up its defense, they're really only playing 2 linebackers at a time. They still like that striker position. It still looks like it's Frierson moving forward. So look for, you only got 2 spots, so very competitive. The other thing I'd like to, that you're looking at on the other side of the ball, and the receivers will still be competitive and whatnot, but I think the offensive line, I think that's going to be certainly something to watch for moving forward. I mentioned Donaldson getting games in now. He's looking to regain his starting spot next year. There's going to be competition. You're bringing back, once again, you're planning on bringing back guys. Jared Williams, a 5th-year senior, the transfer from Houston at right tackle. Offensive line coach Garen Justice announced that he does not expect him back at this time. If you were to guess, he's not had those conversations, but they're not expecting him back at this time. And me personally, I wouldn't expect him back either. He's been a good player, essentially one that's looking forward to moving on. But other than that, you're looking at a number of guys competing. Then you're starting to look at the younger guys. Can Jalen Rivers, a freshman this year, can he really push for a lead role next year and unseat some of those guys that have been playing for a long time? I mentioned Donaldson at left guard. They figured to return both Clark and Traore next year, 2 guys that started games this year. But Donaldson's looking to get his starting spot back, so I just think the competition is going to be great at that position in the spring. Off-season, what are guys doing, those kind of things. Again, linebacker, offensive line, those are the 2 positions. Very interested to see how things shake out.
I know most of the time when the ball's in the air, you're thinking wide receiver, tight end, but running backs, they can be a big part of any passing offense nowadays.
And something to, as we talk about D'Eriq King, and if he does move on, the very first question is, who is going to be Miami's quarterback next season then? Looking at it right now, N'Kosi Perry would have that edge, experience. He has the advantage. He's been the primary backup this year. He would be the guy that you would look for to be the favorite to win that spot. However, Tyler Van Dyke is a freshman they really like, but Tyler's not gotten the experience this year. So can Tyler do enough to earn the spot? Also, they certainly have Peyton Matoka. He got in there. He has an extra year of experience in practices and whatnot than Van Dyke. So he's the guy. But then also maybe a freshman comes in. Obviously, the freshman you're looking for and the signee you're looking for is, will Jake Garcia join this program after decommitted from USC? And if he does, can Jake move ahead and be that starting spot as a true freshman? So those are kind of the things to look for at the quarterback position. But I think without question, you're going to look for, will there be another transfer that arrives next year as well if King does leave? And what level of transfer is it? Is it a guy that's similarly equivalent to Perry? Or is it someone noticeably ahead of Perry in terms of ability like King was this year? That will be interesting to see if they're going to have that competition or if it's really just going to be the next guy. A lot to talk about at that quarterback position. Certainly be something to watch for. I do expect somebody to join the program at quarterback that's not on this roster to move forward. That's a huge run by D'Eriq right there. Great to see. 22-yard run by D'Eriq. Nice play. And he always has that ability to reel off the big run, as you see right here. The juke move, that burst. He has a very good understanding of where the defense is. He's not running into traffic very often. He finds open space, and he seems to be able to pick up quite a few yards when he does make these scrambles. That is a nice freeze frame. I like that they're doing that for the thumbnail And Sam Howell, look at Sam. He is frustrated with the defense. He's probably still frustrated after that pick 6 at the end of second half.
From the red zone now, they'll look to throw. And he's got his man out of the backfield.
But once again, if you guys are here and you've listening to me talk about the game and the future of Miami, about these certain positions, definitely drop in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts. I read all your comments. I'll definitely look at it, start a discussion. I definitely am curious to see what you guys think about certain positions. I've tried to hit on every position group as we preview the game and preview the future, because I think that's what's going on right now. We're late in the season, very late in the season, and there's a lot to discuss. There's a lot of storylines. I think Brevin Jordan is another guy. He's a third-year junior. What will Brevin do? Will he return next year? I think it's great that a lot of guys have decisions to make with their future. I think that's what you want. You want guys to be productive, to put themselves in position to be targets and prospects for the next level. I do not know what happened on that pass. Borregales coming out here. That left side has not, they definitely can't allow the pressure there like that first kick. Okay, so that's in there. Miami with the 20-6 lead. I know we've got a lot of field goals going on in this game, but hopefully you enjoy it. Still a good look. And Jose, you gotta respect that, the eye paint there. Tar Heels only down 14. Just a touchdown here would be big just to get back into the game. Miami's running game is something I haven't talked a ton about, but I'm very curious to see. I think what's going to happen with that, I think they're going to just kind of continue as is. I think that it seems like, I know Cam has made it publicly known, there was, when he went to social media this year, just kind of with his role, it seemed like, again, you're reading into it. It seemed like he wanted to be more involved, but I think all the guys would want to. I think they all understand, though, and they all do know that all three of them are talented. And when Don Chaney Jr. was talking this week about that, one of the things I felt like that these, he talked about how they push each other, and they're, it's not really a competition, so to speak, but that they push each other. And one of the things that stood out to me is like they have no choice but to push each other, in the sense like, look, if you do not do what the other two are doing, if you're the third one out, you're just not going to play. And I think that's the thing. I think they all know that. Like, look, if they do not perform in practice, they do not know the playbook, if they do not perform in the games and whatnot, then they're just going to go to somebody else. And I think all three of them know that. So, and I think all three of them bring something different. They're all good running backs, but I think they do a little bit different. They have different skill sets, a little bit different. And I think each one of them needs to focus on what they do best, improve on the other areas. But I think they can all three really help out the offense in different ways. And I think they know that. And I think they know that they can't slack off. They can't drop off in their development and their practice habits and things like that. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's tough for the coaches to decide which one to go with. But certainly as a player, I would assume all three of them are looking at that situation, very aware of what the other two can do. I do wish there was a little bit more production from the running backs, in the sense like, and I mentioned it in the article, and going into the Duke game, Chaney and Knighton had not reeled off a 20-yard run since the opener. And I think that's something that I would like to have seen more of, just big playability when they get their opportunities. And both of them really struggled in games, just even if they only got, 5 to 8 carries a game, just to have that 5 yards per carry average in one particular game. It felt like even times they were under 4. And I think even when you get limited opportunities, you got to make sure you're taking advantage of that and have big runs, make an impact and things like that. And certainly when we talk about the running game, obviously, guys, I know we're talking about the offensive line, and they've got to be on point as well. However, I think with the running back, as a running back, you have to look at yourself as making plays. Once you get to the line of scrimmage, you've got to go ahead and make plays moving forward, make guys miss, make the right reads, hit the right holes, and whatever move necessary to get by a defender. Now, when you're getting blown up behind the line, that obviously has nothing to do with you. So here we go. Shout out to everybody. I know some of you are just diehard Miami fans. You got the 4 fingers in the air going into the fourth quarter. Miami's up 20-6. Once again, I said it earlier, but I am expecting this game to be a high-scoring game. I think the winning team, if I were to guess, I would assume they've got to get 35 on the board. I think the one thing that you're going to see maybe with that is both offenses operate seemingly at a good pace where there will be opportunities even when touchdowns are made. You're going to see those touchdowns in a few minutes and that kind of thing. I don't think you're going to see an offense really like hold the ball and really drain the clock out because of their abilities to get chunk plays, both of them, either in the passing game or the running game. But certainly we've seen Miami this year be able to grind out those 10, 12 plays, 80-yard drives. And I think that's a huge testament to De'Aaron King and his ability to make the play that's needed. Speaking of that, one of the things that stood out to me about what Coach Lashley had mentioned recently about teams they've been facing this year is they're really doing what the defense gives them. They're really trying to take advantage of whatever the defense gives them. And he said, and again, we're looking at the lens of Miami, but he said teams have been playing them differently throughout the season. He found that to be interesting. And I think that goes to Miami having a lot of different weapons and different ways to take advantage of a defense, different things that they can do well. And so different teams are looking at their own personnel, looking at the fronts and coverages that they run, trying to mix that to try to switch the mismatches or take certain things away. And I think that's why you're seeing different defenses play Miami differently. But Miami's done a good job for the most part of really adjusting as the game's going on and try to take advantage of something or someone that do have a mismatch. It does have a mismatch. So look for that in this game as well with what North Carolina's going to try to do. Again, North Carolina's coming in with the 3 losses. So they're certainly vulnerable, and particularly on defense, because their offense has scored points even in some of their losses. Jennings with a nice tackle there.
They'll wind up getting 8, but it's not enough. 4th down.
So much about offense is what you call hidden yardage. You know, you throw the ball to someone, they catch it, and then they can make a big play. You know, they create a play.
I talked about North Carolina's pass defense earlier, and their rush defense is a little bit better than their pass defense, but, you know, it's not one of those top 3 defenses, that kind of thing, but they're solid for sure, and I think Surratt has a lot to do with that. So here we go, a field goal opportunity. This was big for Miami because, again, once you get a touchdown here, it would have made a difference. So they go field goal. So Miami 20-9. I think Miami's like 3-point favorites. Obviously, if you guys are paying attention to the books, you guys certainly aware of the spread, but I think that's what it is. Around 3.
Or do you go to another section of the playbook trying to find ones that get you into the end zone, get you 6?
Miami looking to close this game out. One of the things I thought was really good about that Duke game, and obviously the shutout was great. They've not done that in a while. I think it was just good that they put a team away. They scored those 3 touchdowns in a row on successive drives in the first half, so they go up 21-0. I thought that was really big. I know they got off to a little bit of a slow start there, those first couple drives, but I think that's good when you play a team that you're better than. You need to go ahead and finish them off with touchdowns and really get that lead. I thought it was especially good, not just because they had the better team, but those 3 games before that, all 3 wins, and it's great when you win close games, but all of them are about 5 points or less. I think it was good just to see the offense in the game really get out of hand, really create some separation. And I know all of the coaches that talked to us about that game really said the value of being able to play a lot of guys was really good for the team. I think it was great that happened, particularly because it's late in the season. It can create a boost in team morale. I think those things cannot be understated as the season goes along. That's why it's important to try to get big leads if you can. What in the world? So De'Eric with the fumble, Jared picked it up. That's something you haven't seen very much is De'Eric fumbling this year. Yeah, just pop loose. Jared Williams, though, quick to react. 44, that's our linebacker right there. So Miami holds onto the ball here.
Here's King looking to throw on second down. He's going to take off with it.
My goodness, what? Oh my goodness, what a scramble! That looked like another 20, 30-yard run. 23 yards, my goodness.
Now that was a whole lot of open space out in front of him, wasn't it? I'm telling you, Brandon, when things are going right, they are going right.
And everything has
Such a
been
nice
going their way for the most
pick up
part.
there.
I saw that lane start
Making
to
plays,
develop.
goes down with the
He took
slide.
advantage of it.
One of the things that makes De'Eric impressive, not only can he throw the ball, not only can he run the ball, but I like when he's able to throw the ball on the run. I think that's going to be important, maybe for the receivers to, make sure they're always staying in the play, always kind of floating to an open spot. So if he's rolling out to his right, I think he'll look for the guys, and I think that's something to watch for, are his rollouts. I think that's when he's at his best, when he's able to mix in not just his passing, not just his running, but when he's able to throw on the run. I think that really helps out the offense. I really think that really big opportunities for big plays. Okay, De'Eric, another big run. Oh my goodness, another fumble. Okay, this one, Chapman picks it up. It's a safety for the Tar Heels. Was he down? Was this another fumble by De'Eric? What is going on?
That's exactly what they did.
And now that door ajar,
That looks like a
two-score game,
huge
so
hit.
hold on here, not done in the fourth.
So Chapman spins off Harley. He's hunting for the ball.
So here
Scoops
are
it up.
visitors to take over on offense.
I don't think there's going to be a
And last
review
time
on
they
this one,
played
so it looks like
three.
North Carolina, they're coming back on the
They
field.
wanted
There's
to win
Newsom
six,
and
but they
Howe
got at least something. They mustered
right
something
there.
on the drive.
There's
They'll
Brown.
take it. I like the way you've described it. Not ideal, but they'll take it.
Miami up
Anything to put some
20-9.
points on the
6
board.
minutes to go. I
This
think
time
that
on
you just
offense,
got to hold them out of the
you
end
don't wanna
zone.
see the field goal kicker trot on the field. They
Easier
want
said
that
than
ball
done.
in
They've
the
done a
end
good
zone.
job all game long here.
Line of
I see
scrimmage
23
for
Corey
Bell
Couch.
now on first
He's
and
one of those
10.
young players that you're really excited what you've seen this year. In his role, you felt like he was doing good early, and then all of a sudden he's starting to get his role kept increasing, kept making plays. You see his confidence going up, ability to make plays, and I think he's doing a good job. I broke down the cornerbacks in the ACC, and he, at one point during the season, I'd like to kind of get back to that after the whole year is over to really look at how Miami's corners fared with the rest of the ACC, because there's a lot of attention on the cornerbacks, a lot of people discussing it, their play, a lot of eyes on it. So I like providing some data
Firing quickly here, and that's complete.
to either back up or support, or just really just to state what their play has been like this year. But Corey's been a guy certainly that's done well moving forward throughout the season, which is great. That's what you always want in a player. You always want to see guys, regardless of their role, you always want to see them getting better and being more productive. And now, as a second-year guy, you're really hoping for a huge jump as he gets into his third season.
And that is incomplete. That pass just a little bit off. It looked like maybe he tried to force it in there.
Game speed.
Big third down for the Tar Heels here. Miami's defense has been good today in this simulation.
Everything has to be a little bit quicker. Sometimes it can throw you off until you adjust.
And this offense on third down today, not quite 50%, 4 for 9. This will be 3rd and 5.
Oh, they get the first down. It's a tough play.
First down yardage as he takes it down to the 49.
Yeah, they got two Browns on the squad. You got to be watching for both of them.
correct me if I'm wrong.
It's a nice play.
I don't think you need to rush just yet, but you can't take your time either.
Yeah, even if you don't want to commit to full 2-minute offense, you have to up the tempo, up the urgency.
A little separation by DJ, but then a good open field tackle, so that's good to see.
Here we go. 70, Indy. Switch up.
Throwing on first down. Howell.
You know, one thing that I'll be watching for in this game is Jared Harrison Hunt, a defensive tackle, mentioned that he got the start, and he's been out, so if he's back in, I'll be very curious to see the impact he makes down the stretch, because he didn't grade out as well as you would like to see when he got his start. And I think you'd like to see him be able to handle the snaps, handle his role, and just honestly just finish the season out on a positive after all the things that he showed throughout the year. At the beginning of the season, we want to see him round out his redshirt freshman season on a positive. Again, that's assuming he's still out there, or if he gets out there. He's been unavailable lately. Oh my goodness, did he catch that? Oh, they go incomplete there. That was a nice pass though. I definitely think it helps Miami, even though they didn't win the game last year, but they know what Sam Howell's about. They respect him as a quarterback. They're going to be certainly very aware during the game of his ability to make plays, make throws. I think you definitely got to pay attention to his deep passing game, his ball down the field.
One thing I think that's safe to say defensively, the tackling's been really good.
And because of that, it's been very, very hard for them to move the ball because you're not getting the benefits of run after catch. You tackle them almost on the spot. That means you have to run extra plays, harder to move it.
And talking about that passing, okay, there's Howell. There's that big throw. Howell leads the conference in, essentially every deep ball there is. He leads in it's crazy. He leads in he leads in 10-yard catches and 20 and 30 and 40. He leads the ACC in all these things. Even at 50-yarders, he's tied for the lead. So he leads in all of those first 5 categories, and it just shows the level of ability he has and the level of throws he can make, which is what makes him really dynamic as a passer. So here we go, 1st and goal. Miami's got this lead here. 3 minutes to go. Gotta finish. Oh my goodness, what a huge play. Nessa Jade Silvera on the sack with the jumping jack celebration. Silvera is certainly an expressive player. I want to see him break out those jumping jacks in the game. I'd be very surprised if he did that, but that's great to see. And that's the thing with him. He just has the ability to really do a good job of putting pressure on the quarterback and the running game as a defensive tackle. Has the ability to be able to affect the game in both ways. Plays hard. He's a guy that very aggressive player. He's been in a larger role this year, and he's produced, so that's good to see. Okay, so they're going I formation here. 2 receivers. A toss left. Oh my goodness. What an open field toss. What a huge play there. Gervin Hall. Have not talked about him much. Have not talked about him this game much at all this season. I think he's a guy that you were hoping would make a jump for after last year. He's been a solid safety in the back. He's just not been that impact player that, for example, that Bubba Bolden's been, as he's been rotating in with Bolden and Carter in the back there. 3rd and goal here from the 12. Another nice tackle. There's Bolden right there, finishing that off. 4th and goal. This has been great for Miami. I think they got down to the 4-yard line on 1st down, but holding them here. Oh, break it up. 3 guys in there. I like that. You like to see that a group of guys in the right spot. So they're going to take over, hopefully just run this thing out, move on with the victory. Hopefully they can do that in the game as well. So Ivy there looking for his second pick of the game. Bolden right there. Off the tip. Look for that if you're looking for a sneaky play. Look for Bubba Bolden on a tip pass. That's a prediction for me for the game.
Very little reason to use him at this point.
So here we go. Shout out to everybody for still here on this simulation. I appreciate everybody for watching all the way through this. You guys are diehard fans for sure. Watching the Miami Hurricanes in action. I do not know what play that was. I did not call that play for sure. They're going wide receiver screen. I think he got out of bounds. Stop the clock. Losing yards. Everything you don't want to happen on a play.
Yeah, in that situation, dropping it would have been better. End up losing yardage, even though they completed the pass.
As good as a sack.
Yeah, how about that?
With kind of with all 3 timeouts left.
And it won't help them at contract time.
On second down, it's Harris.
Just run the ball up.
Now the defense going to use the first of their timeouts.
I assume that's what we're going to see. Another run here. Looks like North Carolina's going to get the ball back. 3rd and 11. I don't know. Miami's got receivers out. They're going shotgun. So they're running out of spread here. Oh my goodness. Just destroyed. So Headley to punt. Headley's the guy that has announced that he will return. 4th-year junior. He's announced that he plans on coming back next year. Essentially, he wants to get his degrees and really take advantage of that opportunity to do that. And once again, we'll have plenty of information. We'll have a tracker, keep track of what these guys are doing when they make their announcements. And once again, the big thing is whatever they decide, you know, how that impacts the team moving forward. North Carolina getting the ball back. Once again, another look at Miami's defense.
Good starting field position for them here as they come
ball right on the 50. Yeah, this, you know, I talked about it earlier in the simulation. Is just Miami's big key will be to hold North Carolina to field goals instead of touchdowns. I certainly didn't expect this, where North Carolina has not reached the end zone once in the game. But as many times as Miami can hold them to field goals, I think that'll be a huge benefit.
Talk about a play that absolutely costs you in the end. Just trying to do your job, right? Trying to get him on the ground. Next thing you know, they march off another 15 against your squad.
And I think if you're Miami too, and this is obvious for every team, but you know, you're going into this game sitting at 8-1. You know, if you just finish out the season strong, have a season you really feel good about. I felt like back in 2017 when the team went 10-0 out of the gate, the disappointing loss to Pitt. You know, they get blown out against Clemson in the ACC title game and then lose the bowl game, and you're sitting at 10-3, and like in totality it was a successful season, but it just didn't have that same feel. I think there was a lot of disappointment. I think this season, so many positives. Look at Jalen. That is a nice celebration by Jalen.
So many different things that he has to pick up on.
There are so many positives that have gone on with this season. You just want to see them finish off with a positive finish.
When to just go ahead and go down early and make sure you don't fumble the football. So many things that he has to learn. This game,
you know, just to make sure that you're not clouding the whole season on just these last few games here.
Now the offense will burn their 3rd and final timeout as the clock will stop with an even 20 seconds left to go. They had the catch on 2nd down, but it didn't help at all, and now they're looking at 3rd down.
20 seconds left. North Carolina driving once again. They certainly racked up a bunch of yards here. 3rd and 1. Nice deflection by Jennings.
After almost being intercepted. A pick there would have been great. The good news for the defense now.
Mentioned Steed earlier, but Bradley Jennings Jr. got to be happy for him for being able to get back on the field. Not just get back out there, but he's had a big role on this defense, and I think he's certainly been glad to have been part of it. And I think it doesn't get stated enough how much work goes into getting back on the field for an injured player. the rehab and the process and the months and the weeks that go into it. You have to really appreciate the work that goes into for these guys to be able to be on the field and have a role.
They keep the game alive, at least for the moment, as it's a first down.
So we got 11 seconds left. There's got to be about over. It's not preserving a shutout, but just to be able to maintain this nice lead here, finish off this game with a win, I think would be a good thing here. 11 seconds left. So North Carolina, no timeouts. This might be the last play of the game. Clock ticking down at 8 seconds, 7 seconds. Oh my goodness. Nice finish out there to Corey Couch with his physicality, number 23. But now we got 2 seconds left. Ball on the 5-yard line. Very curious to see what happens. So safeties move up. Okay. Are they going to double the slot? Got to finish off with a tackle. There it is. Huge tackle. Zach McLeod with a huge tackle right there. Keeps North Carolina out of the end zone. Miami comes away with a 20-9 victory. Great to see from the Hurricanes. A lot of nice plays there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed DJ Ivy. He gets player of the game with that pick 6 there at the end of the second quarter. Really was good for Miami's defense to get a play like that, just to stay out in front. After Mike Harley got the early touchdown in the first quarter. Once again, I appreciate everybody for stopping by, checking this thing out, talking about the game. Once again, drop in the comments below your thoughts on the game. Also, if you haven't yet, be sure to hit the like button if you guys like this video. Subscribing to the channel is a huge help for all your coverage of the Miami Hurricanes. Check out InsideTheU.com. You can follow me on Twitter at InsideTheU. Just want to thank everybody again for watching, and take care.